We concluded the previous video with an introduction to the three major steps of the water cycle. They are evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. Now let's get into the details of water cycle by understanding each step. First in the list is evaporation. Evaporation is conversion of liquid water to the form of vapors. This is what we've seen happening when water is boiled by us at home. But is this evaporation sufficient for water cycle to take place? No, it's not. Water cycle is a very large concept. The evaporation of water from our homes is not sufficient for the water cycle to take place. So which evaporation are we talking about? We do not find water boiling or converting to steam from the Earth's surface. If we keep water in a plate or saucer open in air, after some time the water disappears. Ever wondered where it goes? The water evaporates. That's right. But we did not heat it or boil it in any way. It's not necessary to boil or heat the water. The atmospheric heat is sufficient enough for the evaporation activity. Just like the drying of clothes when kept in the sun. The strong heat of the sun helps in evaporation of the water from all the water bodies, the seas, oceans, rivers, lakes, and others. And why only evaporation? We know that water is converted into vapor and lost from the surface of trees as well. We are well aware of the process of transpiration, the simple process by which plants lose water in the form of vapor from the surfaces of the leaves. Even though we cannot see the vapor formation, the process of evaporation and transpiration does take place. Where does this vaporized water go to? For that, let's take the simple example of water boiling in a vessel. Where does the water vapor go when formed? It starts rising higher and mixes with the air. Similarly, water from the oceans or other water bodies after evaporation starts rising high in the atmosphere. Also, since vapor, which is hot air, is lighter, it keeps moving up. If it keeps rising higher, then the vapors may get lost in the atmosphere. But that does not really happen. And why so? When we climb a mountain, we notice that as we move above, the air starts getting cooler. As the altitude rises, the air becomes cold. So now, if the vapors start rising high, they then reach the layer of atmosphere where it's colder compared to the Earth's surface. Now tell me, what will happen if vapor comes in contact with ice-cold temperatures? Needless to say, the process of condensation will occur. Condensation, which is the conversion of water vapor into liquid form, will occur as the evaporated water rises higher in the atmosphere. And this will result in the formation of water droplets which remain adhered to each other. Do you know what this gives rise to? Yes, it gives rise to cloud formation. Condensation, which is the next step after evaporation, or simply the second step in the water cycle, gives rise to the formation of clouds. Now what after condensation? Once many clouds are formed, and when they get saturated, which is filled with too many water droplets, they can then try releasing the water content. Yes, the next step, which is precipitation, occurs after the condensed clouds are saturated. Precipitation, as we know, will give rise to the water drops falling down on the Earth's surface from these clouds. Some areas receive the water in the form of ice crystals, which is hail or snow, while some others receive it in the form of liquid water drops. This is how water is brought back onto the Earth's surface. And these three steps continue one after the other. Let's have a quick recap of the three steps of the water cycle that we have studied. First comes the step of evaporation, where the water from the Earth's surface evaporates due to the sun's heat. The evaporated water rises up and reaches the atmospheric layer where the temperatures are very cold. The colder temperature causes condensation of the vapor, converting it into water droplets. This results in the formation of clouds. Now, when the clouds get saturated with water droplets, they precipitate. That means the clouds pour water onto the Earth's surface in the form of rain, snow, or hail. Thus, the water bodies get filled with water again, and the water that percolates in the ground fills the underground source of water as well. This is how water is brought back to the Earth's surface. Now we can clearly understand the definition of the water cycle better. The definition says it's the process by which water on, above or below the Earth's surface moves continuously. This explains to us the flow of water from the surface of the Earth into the atmosphere and back to the Earth's surface. Now that we've understood how the water cycle works, let's have a look at how exactly the rain affects our lives. What happens when it rains very heavily and what happens when it does not rain enough?